Welcome everybody. I am Susan. I'm with Ahava FN and I am a functional nutritionist. And again, our mission is to help women make better choices in their life, especially when it comes to food and just moving every day. And today I am so excited to bring back Mandy. Hi, Mandy. And we are going to talk about all the solutions and how she deals with her clients and just some healing techniques that you can bring into your health space if you want to. So we were just kind of talking about how rough it is for women who are entering into that perimenopausal phase. There's a lot of hormones going on, anxiety, depression, you got sleep, you have sleep issues, and insulin resistance is starting to ratchet up. So how do you go about, because I know food is a huge choice to make and to be very mindful of what you put in your mouth, because there's a lot of hidden things in food if you're not conscious of it. So how do you approach your clients with that?
With food specifically, or just the whole process?
Yeah, food specifically, and then we'll kind of go into the other processes.
So the first part is priming with the food. So I don't like to cut calories right away or anything. We start with educating. So I give them a lot of education about calories in general and what they are, macronutrients, so our fats, proteins, carbohydrates, our micronutrients. We talk about how to pair foods to get the optimal benefit from them. And then I like to create awareness. And this is not for everybody, but I have my clients do food logging. So we use MyFitnessPal. And we're not cutting calories or anything. I just want to create awareness of what you're actually eating and putting into your body, and learning, I give them percentages. So how much protein they should be having, how much carbohydrates and how much fat. And there's a lot of flexibility in there. But the main focus is on protein. I'm a big proponent of protein.
Now, how come why?
So,
well, first define protein.
Okay, so protein, mostly animal protein. So that's going to be like your dairy, your eggs, your chicken, beef, fish. But then there's also plant-based proteins as well, soy, and you can have your vegan protein powders, and I'm sure there's a lot more that I'm not thinking of, but
That's
yes.
Okay.
So protein is the most nutrient-dense food that we can get and put into our bodies, and in order to build lean muscle mass, we have to have protein. So I typically have women trying to aim for 0.8 to 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight, which is high compared to what people mostly eat on a daily basis.
So if somebody's like around 155 pounds, what protein would that be?
I'm usually having them aiming for 130 grams.
Okay.
If they're around that weight.
Okay, a day or per each meal?
Per day.
Okay, per day.
Yes.
I was gonna say, whoop, that's a lot.
Yeah, no, per day. So then that's, we're aiming for 25 to 35 grams of protein per meal, and then a protein-rich snack. So when people are food logging, they're finding out that they're usually not eating, even coming close to that.
Sure.
Because this standard American diet contains so many processed foods that are there's no protein in them.
And I want to dive into that just a little bit, because this is part of a big education part of just being aware of what's in your food. Because you're right. So the American or the standard American diet, which is an acronym for SAD, and it's unfortunate because there is a lot of processed and not a lot of nutrients. Yes. So what would you consider, you go to the grocery store, what do you consider that's processed?
Pretty much anything in the middle aisles.
There you go. So you want to keep on the outer aisles.
Yes. Anything that comes in a package in a wrapper is probably processed.
Yeah. And it's probably not going to help with your hormones. It's going to exacerbate your sleep issues. And I know that's harder. And that's where you come in, though. especially with busy women with young kids.
Yeah, because
So how do you do that? Yep. How do you help women with that?
So I'm teaching them the quick ways to get the healthy things in. A lot of it is planning for success and being on a schedule. So I like women to pick a day, or men, husbands can help too.
Yep.
Pick a day that they're going to do their grocery shopping and plan 4 to 5 meals for the week, dinners. And then we're creating our grocery list based on what we have there. And another little secret I tell women is when you're making a meal, so let's say you're making, I don't know, grilled chicken breast or something, make double the amount of protein that you would need for that meal so that you've always got leftovers.
Actually, that's a great idea.
Yeah, so you're batch cooking things. Or you pick a day that you're prepping in big batches for the week. So maybe you make a bunch of ground beef, or you make a bunch of chicken, you make a big pot of rice or potatoes, and you saute or grill a bunch of veggies so that you're not having to cook every single day, because nobody has time for that.
Yeah.
So it's finding those pockets of time when you can make a bunch of food to sustain you through the week. Or I give women ideas on quick pre-made stuff that they can get at the store that's still healthy.
Like what?
Rotisserie chicken
right.
is
I do like that.
one of my secret weapons, because it's already made and you can pull it apart. You can make tons of stuff with it. Let's see. You can get hard-boiled eggs that are already pre-made.
Yeah.
Those are great high-protein snacks. If you're not dairy intolerant, cheese, low-fat yogurts, cottage cheese, milk. What else? Turkey jerky, healthy ones. I like that.
And and that's interesting, especially with the dairy aspect of it, because that is something that women have to be careful, because it can be a very inflammatory product. And so that's something that maybe you want to eliminate initially to see, and then bring it back slowly.
Yes. And there are a lot of women who are dairy intolerant. I'm one of them, or they just prefer not to have dairy. So that's a very personal choice, and we formulate their plan, whatever that is.
Yeah.
And then it's bringing in the right amount of carbohydrates and complex carbohydrates.
So explain that. What's a complex?
So it's something that hasn't been processed, basically. So they haven't, removed the husk, or ground it down, or mixed it with sugars or whatever. So, we're talking about rice, we're talking about whole oats, whole wheat, whole grain, fruits and vegetables are carbohydrates, potatoes.
And it's something that, and the complexity of it slows down the digestion.
Slows down the digestion.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
your body has to work harder to
Your body has to work harder, which is a good thing, ladies, because because that will help with the insulin resistance aspect that is probably developing in your body if you're not aware of it as we get older.
And fiber. There's more fiber with a complex carbohydrate, which we all know fiber is good for our bodies.
Fiber is really good because it binds to that all the stuff that your body may not need, and
pulls it out.
Yep, which is great. So that fiber is it's our friend.
Yes.
Our friendly fiber.
Yes. Another good measure of health is, if you go into the bathroom every day. So.
Yep. Oh, sure. Absolutely. It's a good tool to measure on how your system is reacting to the foods that you eat.
Yeah.
And it's interesting, because I want to step in the space of habits, because habits dictate behavior. And so when you probably initially get clients, their habits, they probably don't have the best habits, I would think, right? So they've had a stressful day at work, and their habit is, I'm going to go grab that glass of wine. And that is hard to change. So how do you step into that? Do you just kind of help them make aware of it, or how do you deal with the habit aspect? Because you have to change your habits. So that means you're going to have to unlearn, well, you have to become aware of your habits, and then unlearn it, and then step into something else to change your lifestyle.
Yeah.
So how do you deal with that?
So first thing is we start slow, because if I throw a bunch of things or a bunch of changes at a person all at once, they're going to fail, and that's not what we want. So we work on changing one habit or creating one new habit, you know, a week or every couple of weeks until they feel like that's easy for them and it's not something that they have to work at anymore. And then we can incorporate something new. So it's okay to just start with one thing. You don't have to add in workouts and new diet and all of the things all at once. It's okay to just try one new thing at a time. But you're right. We create the awareness, and a lot of people have no habits. They're just all over the place. So
what do you mean by that, all over the place?
Every day looks different.
Oh,
it's not like
there's no routine.
There's no routine. There's no sleep. You know, I don't go to bed at this time and get up at this time. I don't work out this day and this day. It's just whatever. And for busy women, working, not working, or with children, a lot of times we are at the mercy of everybody else's schedules. And so whatever we need to do comes last, usually. We're not putting ourselves first. And so we're just flying by the seat of our pants trying to, you know, do everything we need to do for everybody else. So we have to have our non-negotiables and create a schedule and appointments for ourselves, and don't sacrifice those things because we can't show up for other people if we aren't taking care of ourselves. So that's the mindset part. We work on just understanding that you're important too, and that the things that you need to do are important too, and you can't let somebody else dictate those. So we start with a schedule. So I ask them to commit, and it doesn't have to mean you're working out 4 times a week, but I ask them to commit to however many workouts they can do and put that on their schedule. And that is a non-negotiable. It's an appointment. You're not going to break that appointment.
Like a doctor's appointment.
Yes.
Yep.
And then movement. So one of the big things that can help you is just creating awareness about your daily movement. So a lot of people sit so much, and that's their biggest problem. So I like fit trackers, like an Apple Watch, or I don't know, there's all sorts of fit trackers that you can use just to create that awareness of how much movement you're actually getting every day.
Actually, it can be really shocking on how sedentary we can be. So, I mean, I work at my home, you know, I'm on the computer a lot. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, half the day's gone by and I haven't even gotten up.
I know.
So I get that. Because I think there are some apps out there that will, like, you can put an alarm, or you put an alarm on and it's like, okay, at least stand up.
Yeah, even your watch, it'll tell you it's time to stand up.
Yep.
Now, so we focus on, I meet people where they're at. That's another thing with the habits. So I'm not telling them to go from 0 to 60.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So the first couple of weeks, I'm just seeing what their habits are and how much movement they're actually getting. And then we're creating some goals. Okay, well, if you were getting 2,000 to 4,000 steps a day, let's try to get 6,000 to 8,000 steps a day now, because I want them to have success, because the more success we have, the more motivated we are to continue doing it.
Correct. Well, and it's interesting. So I started to do the 10,000 steps a day. That is not an easy feat.
No,
it's not. Especially
if you sit all.
Especially when you sit all day. So what I ended up doing, I ended up getting a indoor treadmill for underneath my desk.
Oh, nice.
And I still struggle to get 10,000 steps a day. I'm like, oh my gosh, that is a feat.
I know.
I mean, it really is. So anybody out there getting 10,000 steps a day?
Good job.
Seriously, it's not an easy thing to do. It's about, if you do 1 mile per hour, it's like about a 50-minute walk.
Yeah. So especially in the winter, because we're more sedentary here, I think it's a lot easier once the weather starts getting nice. But
because you can go outside.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. And I think that is great what you said, to really have women schedule an appointment for themselves. Because you're right, especially, I mean, I just remember, and you know, you have kiddos too, you know, having 4 boys, it's constant. I mean, practices, and you know, you probably, your daughter dance or what?
Show choir.
Yeah, show
and
choir.
Basketball and
absolutely. Things. And you're just running around, and then, and pre-planning is a big deal too. You should almost schedule to pre-plan. So, right? So to pre-plan for snacks. Right? Because it's so easy to go through, you know, Burger King or whatever that is, because it's easy and it's convenient. And and we get it.
Yeah, totally.
We get it.
I'm guilty too.
And And once in a while, you know what, it's okay.
Yeah.
But majority of the 80, it's like the 80-20 rule.
Yep.
80% of the time, you just have to step into that healthy space and do whatever you want. And I love the aspect of like treat yourself like a doctor's appointment.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, if you have to
You
put
have
it in
to
a
fight for yourself sometimes.
No, you do.
do.
No, you do, because one, women don't put a priority on themselves. And
We're nurturers and caregivers and by nature, and yeah, we put people first, other people first.
exactly. And as you're going through that, and it goes so fast, that time goes so fast. And the next thing you know, you're faced with, okay, my body is getting older and it's starting to deteriorate. So, and if you haven't done those steps beforehand,
Yeah.
you have to make a really strong conscious decision on which path you're going to take.
Yeah.
Because you're just not going to, you can't do what you were doing before. And if you can learn, like in your 40s, on how to deal with this, like, you are, and you're training your clients, then it's a lot easier to pivot.
Yeah.
And it's because it's a journey, wouldn't you say?
Yeah. Yeah. And especially, I'm 40 and I'll be going through the menopause phase. But once you hit menopause, things change a lot. And if you can already have some of that work done beforehand, preparing, you're going to be in a lot better spot. Not saying that you can't start at any time and change things around, but whenever you can start and creating those healthy habits, and it will make a big difference.
It will make a big difference. And part of the reason why I became a functional nutritionist is because I wanted to learn about how food impacted the body, because I was in that position. I couldn't my lifestyle was not catering to me anymore. And I was gaining weight, I was getting inflated and bloated as I was entering into menopause, as I got closer to that, average 50-year mark.
Yeah.
And then you just have to make a conscious decision. And I think, what you're doing is letting people know in their perimenopausal state, it's like, start educating yourself, because it's not easy to find.
No, it's not. And I think women think that they just have to suffer through a lot of symptoms.
Yeah.
Like, this is just normal. My period, being awful and having cramps or having anxiety or gaining weight and I don't know why. It's just normal. This is just how it's going to be, but it's not. And you can optimize your health and take charge of how those hormones shift as you age and go through all those stages.
And I want to re-emphasize again, ladies, that it's not normal to be suffering, and that there are places to help. And just real quick before we end the episode, I do want to talk about just hormones real quick, because we were talking earlier before. They help. And you've done the pellets and you've done the cream.
Yep.
Correct? And you are, what is your preference? Because I know a lot of women are like, what do I do?
Yeah.
Because there's so much conflicting information. What do you recommend with that?
I really think it's a personal choice. There's pluses and minuses to both. Obviously, the pellets are convenient, so you don't have to think about it every single day, and you can get several different hormones, whether you need testosterone, estrogen, or progesterone in that pellet. So there is a lot of convenience with it,
but it's very expensive.
Yes. And it's bioidentical. I like the cream, which is also compounded and bioidentical, because I'm not getting such a large dose in one shot, which was what I didn't like about the pellets. I can control it daily, and it's much more affordable. And there are several compounding pharmacies in Omaha that you can get that from. So.
And again, I'm going to reemphasize, lady, you do not have to suffer during this time. And it's just about seeking it out, and it's about finding the education to support better food choices. And we do have to make better food choices. We have to be more mindful. We have to focus on sleep routines and create different habits. And I know it seems like a lot and it's daunting, but there are choices out there, and you're worth it. And your body is a temple, like Mandy said. And you're worth treating your body like a temple. And thank you, Mandy, so much for coming on the show. Really appreciate it. And Mandy's contact information will be listed. And again, I'm with Ahava FN. And everybody have a great day.
Where can you watch KPAO Community Television? You know, the channel with all of the local shows. If you live in the Omaha area, Cox Channel 22 HD is your place. If you prefer streaming, go to kpaoTVOmaha.org. And now, if you have the Apple TV box, grab our app and watch us there. KPAO on cable, streaming live, and now on Apple TV.
Did you know there's a link between diabetes and cardiovascular disease? If you have diabetes, you're more likely to have risk factors associated with cardiovascular disease, including obesity and high blood pressure. Take steps today to reduce your risk for cardiovascular disease, manage your A1C, blood pressure, and cholesterol levels, develop or maintain healthy lifestyle habits, and learn ways to manage stress. Take medicines as prescribed by your doctor. Stop smoking or using other tobacco products. Take diabetes to heart. Visit niddk.nih.gov to learn more.
There's no question that exercise is good for your body, but what does revving up your heart rate do for your brain?
There's a massive amount of scientific evidence that indicates that ongoing exercise directly does good things to your brain. It's like liberating fertilizer on your lawn.
Mayo Clinic neurologist Dr. Eric Alskog says your brain shrinks with age. It happens to nearly everyone.
If you're in your 80s, most people, maybe not all, but most people have kind of a shrunken brain. And if you look at under the microscope what's going on, they've also lost a lot of brain connections. And it's less losing brain cells than losing those connections. So what can you do to maintain brain integrity? Well, it's exercise.
What kind of exercise is good for your brain? Dr. Alskog says any exercise that gets your heart pumping and makes you sweaty and tired works. Good for the body and brain. Talk to your healthcare provider before you begin your exercise program. For the Mayo Clinic News Network, I'm Vivian Williams.
Prediabetes is a serious health condition where blood sugar levels are higher than normal, but not yet high enough to be diagnosed as type 2 diabetes. More than 1 in 3 U.S. adults have prediabetes, but most don't know they have it, and there are usually no symptoms. Making healthy lifestyle changes can make a difference. You can prevent or delay type 2 diabetes, and you can even manage or reverse your prediabetes. Visit niddk.nih.gov to learn more.
KPAO Community Television. It has something new.
Okay, let's talk. What are we making today? Because we're using peppers.
All of your favorite shows
For the dish, I'm Pam Weeks.
are available no matter where you are.
And Marjorie, it's so good to see you.
KPAO on the go. Go to kpaoTVOmaha.org. All of your favorites now streaming.
Hi, this is Susan, and I'm with Hava FN, and I have another sensible substitution for you. And we are going to be talking about flour, that white, wonderful tasting flour that you put in a lot of baked goods and pastries, and it comes out really yummy. But it creates havoc in your body. Once you ingest it, it just creates inflammation, and it creates a really large spike in your blood sugar, and it's just not a good ingredient to use. So we are going to get rid of this. Get it out of your kitchen so you're not tempted to use it. But there are some other substitutions that you can use. One, we have almond flour here, and almond flour is a fantastic substitute. It's 1-on-1, and it's made out of almonds. And it's just a great, it's a little bit different consistency, but sometimes when I cook with it, I'll sift it again in a sifter, and it just makes a really fine flour base for pastries and cookies. And a lot of times when you bake especially, you'll use almond flour with tapioca flour, and it just creates this great mixture to really make yummy pastries. And, you know, gosh, I've made donuts and cookies. The consistency is a little bit different. It's a little bit more stickier than what you're normally used to, but once you get used to it, it's just a great way, and it will not create as much inflammation in your body. I did not put whole wheat flour here. That is a great substitute as well, but you just have to make sure, I would make sure that it is gluten-free wheat flour because a lot of gluten can create a lot of havoc in your body as well, and you may be allergic to it, and you may not know that you're allergic to it. So unless you know that, I would just, I would keep with the gluten-free whole wheat flour. So anyhow, those are your sensible substitutions.